Thank you, Norman. Stacy, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Hi, I just want to welcome everyone for coming, everyone that's live here on Telegram, and everyone that's listening also on YouTube, everyone that's going to listen in after. I want to thank everyone for coming. Today, the topic we have is a little sensitive. We'll be speaking about what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. So we're going to highlight, just with everything that's gone on with media, I find that in the media, there's a lot more negative than there is as positive. So I think today we're going to go over a lot more positive things that have come about the situation. My name's Stacey Brown. Do community development for the team. And I'll pass this over to Elena.
Thank you, Stacy. Hello, everyone. My name is Elena Rivers. I am one of the advisors on the Intercoin project, and I am based in London. Originally, I'm from Russia with my heritage from Ukraine. And this period it hit me very much in a personal level and also on a business level, because a lot of people with whom I did business were from Russia and from Ukraine. And all of us are friends and relatives, and we have a long history in friendship. I used to study in Kiev. And Norman, could you please mute yourself? Well, today the name of the topic is the virtue of the fortitude in turbulent times. We choose this name because we realize what's happened in Ukraine and how people in Ukraine actually behave themselves and how they hold the situation. And a lot of my friends in Kiev and in the western parts of Ukraine, they stayed there. They decided not to flee. They decided to fight, and they decided to protect their country. The point is, the decision came not from the fear of to be killed, but from the faith into all world around us and the people around the globe supporting Ukraine. And the hashtag Stand with Ukraine came very quickly, and it was picked up in a lot of countries. And the first point, what I would love to say that actually the National Bank of Ukraine has opened a special account to raise funds for Ukrainian armed forces. I've never seen anyone who would be happy to donate to armed forces. I am Christian myself, and I know that a lot of churches are against wars, but Ukrainian armed forces are raising funds, and a lot of Christian people from around the world donating their funds. And it's not because they want that Ukraine would pay for their guns, but because they want to Ukraine to have the protected gear. And there is a special organization called Razom for Ukraine, and they created the special list of resources where everyone from around the globe can go and donate into different organizations what they feel that would be useful. And the point of donations, it's not that people are actually want to fight, but people in Ukraine actually still singing songs. And I know that people in Ukraine are very open and very strong personalities. They have very big hearts. And uh, it was very, very unusual for me. At the beginning, I thought that, oh, it's the end of the Ukraine as we know it. And it was very difficult for me to even to think about work. But then we realize when I heard from different Ukrainian IT developers that they want to work because that helped them. A lot of countries they they have IT developers in Ukraine, and a lot of big organizations have IT developers in Ukraine. And we realized that even more people globally uh, rely on Ukrainian IT developers, and developers are open to work even when they are underground. And when I ask why, how you can think about work, how you can think about singing song, because they brought piano on the street from the bombarded building, and the answer was simple: because we believe in the future, we believe in life, we believe in humanity, and verified organizations providing urgent support to people. And this urgent support is not guns, it's elementary pampers for little kids who are still there. It's to provide elementary water and food because all supply chains are already broken. But still, Ukrainian people are thinking about others around the world who depend on them, and they want to work and they want to provide their services. And our company have our developers there. And the point is why Intercoin is creating so many things for the freedom, because we believe in Web3 that decentralization would help the freedom, and the spirit of freedom is in Ukraine, and spirit of freedom is in every heart of our team. And this is why we want to tell you a little bit more about positive things around Ukraine. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming.
Well, something I just want to mention, like, I was on Google and I was looking up a lot of different things, and different media outlets that usually do not cover cryptocurrency. I was reading articles that the titles were saying stuff like Bitcoin is showing the power of decentralized money and all that. And I just thought, wow, because these are outlets that I normally don't hear speak about crypto. And then just other things like the crypto community is excellent. Now, some of the big companies, for example, Binance, I think they donated, I think it was like $10 million. Ripple donated $1 million. I love to see everyone come together. And I don't know, I think this was a few days back. The count was about $70 million that was raised. I'm sure it's even more than that now. So it's inspiring seeing everyone come together when something bad like this happens. Alicia, did you want to speak just briefly about and Alicia, if you want to introduce yourself as your abstract artist and what you do on the team, and maybe speak a little bit about what you've done to raise money?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Stacy. Elena, I really enjoyed, not enjoyed, but I was listening to what you were saying, and I was very emotional. Um, I'm an abstract artist. I'm Alicia Anglin here. I'm on the Intercoin core team. Um, and what I'm going to be doing is also helping Stacy build the community, as well as when NFT Remix comes out, I'm also going to be um, helping with that and building that. And, I just like the whole movement behind Intercoin, helping people and creating these community coins. And there's just so many things that go into that. And what I've been doing regarding what's going on with Ukraine and Russia, it's absolutely it's devastating. And I decided to take one of my pieces I had painted. I actually named it Fortitude. I created this piece back on February 27th, and I created this piece. I'm a live traditional painter, so even though it's an NFT, I do have the physical as well, and I have that on Exchange Art, the Solana blockchain. And what I'm doing is I have an auction going. I actually have to renew the auction. I didn't have any bids, unfortunately, so I'm going to renew the auction. I'm going to keep renewing it until I do get a bidder. The starting bid is 4 SOL. Um, and what I'm doing is 100% of the proceeds from this painting, this one-of-one painting that gets sold, I'm actually donating the entire 100% to savelife.in.ua, which is to um, basically fund the Ukrainian army. Something like what uh, Elena had said earlier, and that's what I wanted to do. Through my art, I can help in that way through these times, and my heart is really with Ukraine. I'm very upset about what's going on, and it's very hard to even at this point even even paint, because they say, yeah, you could put your emotions on the canvas, but sometimes, especially with this going on, it's like, how can I even wrap my head around it? So I haven't actually been painting as much as, I probably should be, and how much I usually do, because of all of the emotions running through, um, and going on, in this world right now. I can't believe it. So, um, anyways, I created that Fortitude piece. It's pinned on my Twitter account. If you go to @AliciaAnglinArt, it's pinned to the top, and I do need to renew the auction. It actually just expired, so I need to renew that. Um, and also for the Back and Alive, they are the savelife.in.ua actual account. It's at Back and Alive, and again, that's to fund the Ukrainian army. So I'm very deeply passionate about that. So that's something that I wanted to do. And yeah, I'm just, this just whole entire thing is just so, like, it's just terrible. And I'm just trying to run my business, and I'm trying, like Elena said, it's even hard to work, because it's constantly on my mind. So overall, that's kind of what I've been doing, and I've just been focusing on that and trying to create. I have like 5 more paintings that I'm trying to finish, and it's just like I can't seem to wrap my head around it. So it's just taking me a lot longer. But you know what? Sometimes those things come out as the best painting. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I do, and just praying that all of this hopefully is over soon. It's just really terrible what I'm seeing on the news. I'm trying not to watch the news, but it's like you have to watch it to see what's going on. But I just know that Intercoin, you know, that's why I joined Intercoin. Stacy actually told me about it, and just everything that I'm passionate about, Intercoin's passionate about. So it's really important for people to join our community. If you're new, or if you know about community coins, this is something that can definitely help. What's going on. And I'm just, I'm excited about the app coming out. I really feel like, you know, Intercoin can be that, like we talk about the inner cloud, like everything with Intercoin can definitely help these type of situations in the world, not just communities like artists and stuff like that, but also when things that go super negative, and you have this world leader, that or I should say Russian leader. He wants to be a world leader, but he wants to take over things. And if everybody did have Intercoin, and they had these community coins, and this was already set up in a way, then things might have went a little differently, but I definitely am passionate about it once again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Thank you, Alicia. Yes, your painting, actually, when I've seen your post in Twitter with the painting, it's actually expressing the house and at the same moment the freedom of your strokes and the colors. It's really beautiful, and I've seen not the only flag, like so many people are painting just two colors of flag, but I've seen the actual terrible emotions of the colors, and on the back is just like a bombing of these colors, because blue introduced as a sky, and yellow is like field of yellow fields in Ukraine, and a lot of fields are not there anymore, and it's just terrible sky gray, and not blue anymore. But at the same moment, as a Russian person, I couldn't believe that Russia would want to go against Ukraine. And in reality, it's not true that Russian nation wants to go against Ukraine. It's only the government of Russia. But ordinary people goes on the streets and began different. Sorry, it's difficult to talk about it. They stood up for Ukraine, and according to Russian groups, already more than 4,000 people were detained in anti-war protests in Russia. And this war is not against the actual Ukrainian people, it's against the humanity. It's against the sisterhood and brotherhood, because we have Russian and Ukrainian nations. We have generation and generations, families torn apart with this war. Thank you.
Yeah, throughout the situation on social media and that, I kind of was pretty silent about it. And the reason I was just like I said again about the media, so much negative about the media. I did do the research about the positive, but when you look at the media, majority of it was negative. And it just kind of brought me back to what we went through with COVID. And I felt like the media with that basically separated a lot of people. We all had different opinions. I'm originally from Canada, but do live in the US. I'm in a border city. So where I live, I could walk to the end of my street and I can look over at Canada. And it's just weird because I spent, my businesses were there. I spent a lot of time there. And, these people that were so close generally shared a different opinion than what I did. So for me, this situation was just a reminder again about the media and, the way it separated people. And that's kind of why I was pretty silent about it on social media. But what I got from that, like what I just kept focusing on myself is the power behind technology. Technology, it runs the world. And the fact that I'm lucky enough to have the ability to work for a technology company like Intercoin, that also has a sister company, qbix, that has 10 plus years of technology and all this stuff built that's designed that can actually change the world. That's kind of where I've been keeping my focus. So, if people have seen me on social media and wondered, why I've been pretty silent about it, it's just for me, the media, I just try to, I put more focus on what I can do to change the future working for this company rather than what I cannot change right now. So if anyone's seen that and, maybe felt I was insensitive to it, it was just, I don't know, I found it super emotional and I just didn't really feed into it for those reasons.
I definitely understand, where you're coming from, Stacy, and that's kind of, even though I'm still emotional, I'm kind of in that same, space right now where, I just want to do something to help, and that's really, really what we need to do is, come up with these plans and push Intercoin forward so that we can make the world a better place overall. I mean, with everything that Intercoin and qbix has to offer, there's so many positives to the negative. So I'm with you. I definitely, I'm looking forward to, getting that, seeing the app come out, getting that going. And, it's really going to be, it's going to change lives. It's definitely we're going to bring all of our ideas together, and, it's going to be a good thing, even though there's a lot of negativity and a lot of terrible things going on. All we can do is try to change it. Right.
Absolutely. And yes, Stacy, I understand where you're coming from, and it's very important for everyone to know where information is coming from. And this is the actual one of the points that Greg created the company qbix 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago already, almost 11. The point is to provide possibilities for people to know that information and their data can be saved and their information can be transparent, and at the same moment to hold the information for themselves. And possibilities what happening right now with the information around the countries, like Greg was saying all the time, like people can provide real information because we already live in the times where everyone have video camera on their phones and everyone can provide real information from real places. And when in St. Petersburg, the elderly lady who was actually in blockade Leningrad in World War II, she was arrested. She was on the streets with her paintings against the actual nuclear war after Putin tried to frighten the world. She came out with the big placards, and everyone were taking videos how police arresting her, and that is the truth what we can provide, the real news. And this is what's happening everywhere in Russia now. When people are on the streets, when they are protesting, everyone is filming. And this is the beauty of freedom. They cannot close the freedom of speech. And one of the ladies, she burned her Russian passport in protest because she doesn't want, it was in Scotland recently, just last week. She doesn't want to be Russian anymore. She doesn't want to be associated with this country under regime of Putin. But at the same moment, Ukrainian people are not against Russian people. when I heard the little girl in the bunkers singing song "Let It Go" in Russian language, and everyone were clapping and motivating her to sing again, and everyone was speaking Russian. They are not against Russian, they're against war. And this is what we want with Intercoin to bring here on this call, on this event, to provide the possibilities for people to look at the unity, the freedom of nations, the freedom for everyone to be not to be afraid to be any nation and not to be incentivized by any not to be stopped by doing things in their life just because they are from this particular country. Last week, even Web3 is already under attack because some companies are closing access to some to people from other countries, like from Iran or Venezuela people. They cannot have accounts because US decided to cut them out. It shouldn't be that way. We have to have freedom of speech and unity now in the crypto world is it's it's never like happened before. Everyone is supportive and standing with Ukraine.
Can I add to that, Elena?
Sure, go ahead.
It's so crazy, like everything that you're saying is like so true. And I just noticed that, like, and somebody pointed this out to me the other day, like this is the first time also that we're going through this like war that's going on, and it's all over social media. Because from what I remember, when the other wars were going on, nobody was really on social media talking or showing pictures or anything. So I definitely feel like that plays a huge role as well in what's going on. Like, kind of back to what Stacy said with the media. Um, it's we never saw this in this way. Um, and now that everybody's on social media, even grandparents, everybody, no matter where you turn, no matter where you look, we see what's going on. We see, and which makes it even more of an emotional um, type of situation. um, so it's just, overall, it's just, we need to just figure out these ways to like help the situation in any way we can. And I think, you're there in the UK, like we're all over, which is really awesome, because we could all put this stuff together and try our best to help, and see what we can do. I just it's just such a terrible thing, but um again, it's all about what we can do to help as the Intercoin family. That's something that I take very seriously. So that's all I wanted to add to that.
Can anyone properly explain the NFT that was for Ukraine? I think there was like 40 something million dollars in cryptocurrency, I think in Ethereum, raised. And I know initially, I think it changed. I think there was going to be an airdrop for the people. And then from there it changed and it was just going to go to the military. Does anyone know any of the details about that?
I saw it, but I actually did not look into it much, because I've been not really on NFT Twitter. I haven't been on there for a little bit. So if anybody does, I would like to know about it, if anybody does have any information on that.
Just like what stood out to me was I can't remember why they decided not to drop it to the people. There was some sort of, they were worried about something going wrong, which, I mean, how could you? Because they're not really set up to do that. But what stood out to me is, what Intercoin's doing and how we're trying to, you know, get money, you know, whether it's UBI or whatever, into the hands of the people. I mean, if this was something that would happen in the future, this is something that we could possibly easily solve that problem. So that kind of stood out to me. I don't myself don't know all the details.
Yes, I actually know only that officially government created the NFT of their flag, and it was sold for 6.7 millions in Ether. But I don't know about the actual drops, any details. I think it would be good to research it. We have.
I wanted
Yes,
to chime in on
thank you.
that because, yeah, I have done some rudimentary research into the Ukrainian NFT situation. It's been, first of all, I just wanted to say, as it's the first time I've opened my mouth on the live stream so far, it's just, Elena, like, thank you so much for having the strength to come on here and discuss this topic. I was welling up when I was listening to you describe the situation on the ground and how it's affecting you, who's more personally involved with it than I think any of us are. So just I wanted to extend a thanks for sharing your experience with us, because I know it can't be easy, and you know, being a part of this family, this Intercoin family, it's just it's beautiful that we're all banding together to kind of discuss this and get on the same page. With the NFTs in particular, I know that there was some issues regarding, as with all situations, you know, people have been using this for nefarious purposes. People have been posting. There's been a lot of things on OpenSea that have been created with the sort of saying we're supporting Ukraine, and the funds haven't actually reached anyone. There's been scammers who have been setting up who, unless you're sending directly to the Ukrainian government themselves and their official addresses that they provided, there have been donations that are getting lost because people are seeking to capitalize on travesty, which I'm sure is not uncommon across all, you know, modes of investment. I was discussing with my friends recently how more than likely there'll be people who have their investment funds and they'll say, oh, we're actually getting you great returns at the moment, but not actually, you know, failing to mention that they are invested in arms dealers, for example, who are benefiting on certain sides of things. So there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of confusion as to where people can put their money. People are just, everyone is wanting to help. You know, this is something which drew me to the cryptocurrency community in the early days, some 10 years ago. You know, I know Dogecoin is seen as somewhat of a joke these days, but back when I wanted to get involved and I was mining the coin, you know, we were funding the Jamaican bobsled team to get to a Winter Olympics. You know, we were helping water aid across Kenya. You know, I personally donated, which today would be worth significantly more than it was at the time. But, you know, I was giving my mining rewards to these causes because it was something, it was all about the community. It was a very small community back then, and we were all passionate about providing change. It wasn't necessarily about enriching our own lives through returns and having this amazing store of value and stuff. It was to pass this on and to spread this technology and be able to enable borders to erode because of financial velocity, and being able to share and mutually profit from this this new form of income that we'd seemingly created out of thin air. It was a way to, yeah, to just empower people and on a, you know, provide support on a community level. So I mean, I firmly believe that something like, you know, I can see a future where qbix and Intercoin allow communities, you know, employers to provide like smart contracts that cash out in Intercoin or their local community currency for, you know, feeding people, for providing movements for people to enable them to stay safe in these active war zones and things like that. And I think that when people start to see the power of community coins and how we can say, you know, I remember on the last live stream, we spoke a lot about homelessness, for example. To be able to not only, I was in London on Sunday and I saw members of the Sikh community handing out food to homeless people. And it brings a tear to your eye, seeing that there are these pockets of altruism amongst people. But, sometimes they're just not given the, other than just, I don't know, the warm feeling of helping their brothers and sisters. It would be nice to say, we can actually give you something for this. We can incentivize community engagement and, helping people who are worse off than you. So it's one of the things that drew me to the Intercoin project, and I'm sure it rings true for all of us. But in this kind of situation, you can't help but acknowledge how having that support system, having those means to airdrop currency or provide support to people who are suffering is it's a difficult one, because you have to try and remain sensitive and not say, well, we could have provided the solution if we were given the chance. But at the same time, it's proven itself time and time again. As Stacey was saying about news outlets that have started to cover cryptocurrency in a positive light for the first time ever. They're actually starting to see that it's not just a vehicle for purchasing drugs on the dark web. It's a way to, make these boundaries less prominent and empower the individual to take control of their finances, and businesses also to provide people with currency and create new jobs that pay out in community currencies, or aren't restricted by budgetary constraints. So yeah, it's hard to look at a situation like this and not see that humanity should be better than this by now. And I think that this will be, we often learn from mistakes. That's what humans do. As a staunch gamer, it's how you learn. You fail, you die, you fail at something, but you keep evolving and you learn strategy and you become better at dealing with things. And I think this kind of you can't hide it on social media. We've never had a war that was so broadcast like this, and the horrors that people are undergoing, and the pain and the emotion behind it all. I hope it will be a learning curve for humanity, and I hope that we come back stronger because of it, genuinely. So once again, Elena, thank you so much for putting this together. It's thinking about what everyone's going through, and it's hard to not let your subconscious be affected by it.
Thank you very much, Matthew. It's actually, I know only that Gavin Wood, he is one of the co-founders of Ethereum, and he also a founder of Polkadot. He donated almost 6 million to Ukrainian government in Polkadot. And also another, I think, DAO from Solana, backed by Solana, they also gave 1.5 million to Ukrainian government. They raised, and the point is that aiding Ukrainians on the ground is what help people to stand together. And I think the togetherness of the world, it's never happened before. Like United Nations had had 4 meetings in 1 week. They usually had 1 meeting per month. They had 4 meetings in 1 week to find the solution of this unprecedented situation. And no one is supporting Putin. And even his own country, people who supposed to support their president. And he thought that he will come with the army on Ukrainian grounds, and people from Ukraine would thank him meet the army with flowers as a as a person as people who would be happy to go and be part of Russia. But he was mistaken. And a lot of Russian people, I don't remember the exact number, it's almost 500,000 people, I think, who refused to go. And they now in prison. they refused. It's people who are actually in army. So now they are prosecuted in Russia for not going to war with Ukraine. And despite of all these negativities on the ground, few days ago I've seen that one couple, actually military couple, they married on on the ground in the central city, and women are giving birth and kids are coming in this world, and they even didn't know the world was before the war, and the life is going on. People are ready to, I think all the funding what is coming to Ukraine, it will support people to restore their nations, and even on a better level. I believe that Ukrainian people would restore their land, and everyone around the world would support them. We have also some other people on the call. Anyone wants to add something? Maybe Mike or Philip? Please unmute yourself if you can speak.
Hi, Elena. This is Mike Bennett. So I do standards consulting and knowledge graph stuff. And sitting at this distance, I've no idea what any of us here could do to help. But Elena, I realised how this is so hard for you, and it was really moving to hear everything you were saying, and it really makes it all that bit more real. But I don't know if there are things we can do from here that can help in one way or another. It would be so good to figure that out. And also, I think, and perhaps for Intercoin, there's going to be a lot of rebuilding. I think not only in Ukraine, but I think in Russia. I don't know what the way forward is, but it seems possible that somehow or other, we don't know how, that Putin's days will come to an end, and there will be a whole other country that's Russia that will also, ordinary people on the ground will need help and need rebuilding and so on. Obviously, we think of Ukraine first. They're the ones that need the immediate assistance. And but yeah, perhaps we can think about, Ukraine is going to win this, and how can we help in rebuilding, in bringing commercial activity back to life quickly and flexibly with the kind of technology we have. I don't know the answers, but those are the questions that I'm thinking of.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Yes, definitely. We would have Greg back in business. He is because we have so many our developers in Ukraine, and we promise to deliver some parts of code, and because of this situation, he is coding, and he is helping also our team on the ground, and he is supporting so many people as well. And yes, definitely next week or week after, we would have some answers what is actually possible to do with Intercoin and qbix apps when we're gonna have them live. Anyone else would like to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to see, it's still kind of on topic. Did anybody see the woman? She was a Russian woman on Twitter. I don't know what account it was. I don't remember exactly word for word, but it was something along the lines that she tweeted, like, if you're in Russia and you're Russian, it's okay to not want to be Russian anymore, or something like that. And then Vitalik actually responded from his account, F you. I'm not going to say the word because we're live, but he literally responded F you. And I was just looking at that and I'm like, this is something that, like, it's such a sensitive subject for somebody that's, I get it, he's from Russia, it's not the Russian people's fault, that Putin decided to do this. But I was just so floored when I had to look at it about 10 times because I couldn't believe that he said that to this woman, and she was just expressing her feelings, I understand, a lot of, but that goes for a lot of Russians right now, that they don't even, a lot of them don't even want to be there because they don't want to be, looked at a certain way or say, but I don't know if anybody wants to chime in, if anybody else saw that tweet or not.
I did not, but now I'm going to look for it.
I tried looking for it. I can't find it anywhere. I'll keep looking though.
Well, it's not only about the tweet itself, but yes, a lot of people took this fault on themselves, and I totally can understand them because being Russian and walking, standing together on the protests with Ukrainian opposite of Russian embassy, it's people need to be very deeply proud of themselves personally. They shouldn't associate themselves as a person with some kind of name, because when people have their own strong values behind, they are not afraid of somebody calling their names. It's not about the name. If somebody will call me a Nazi, I would never be offended, because I am not a Nazi, and I am not offended that Ukrainian people call that Russian are against them. I understand that they're talking about the actual Putin who took the army. But I know that regular Russian people are not against Ukraine. And that's probably the reason, again, why Vitalik responded that way, because we don't need to be afraid that we are Russians. It's not about Russian, it's about evil and the good. And I know that good is always win. No matter how strong the evil in this world, I know that good is always win. And it's historically, we've seen it so many times, no matter how strong the evil. And it's also, as one of the examples in the Second World War, that when Nazis' army were extremely strong in some territories, that was exactly when they were extremely angry. That was exactly before they fail. And that's what's happening now with Putin. He created the new law that he can be in the power for another 12 years in Russia. And this is ridiculous. And no one will give him this opportunity. And probably this war would help to to free Russia of him. At least it's my personal view again.
I feel like if this was like not even that many years ago, you know, different parts of the world would all have different opinions on this because we're all fed different media. But the way with social media now and, you know, Web3 and all that coming out, the way things are that are shared, it's just so much easier for the whole world to actually see the whole picture and not have to actually, you know, depend on media outlets that, you know, some tell, you know, truths and other tell stuff to get clickbait. So I don't know, we're definitely going in the right direction, and I'm just thankful that the power behind technology.
Yes, I also believe in the technology, and I know that technology will bring the freedom of our speech on a governmental level even. And we very hope for many years, and we will not be afraid to go ahead and still promote voting on blockchain in different governments. We already working for more than a year together with Government Blockchain Association, talking with different governments, governmental cities and bodies in different parts of countries. And we will persevere. That's all what I can say. And we are moving. It's a bit slower than we expected because not everyone is ready to give up different parts of governmental rights when they used in a wrong direction. But I know that new generations are coming, and people who wants be free, and people who wants to be honest with their nations. And that's what Intercoin can provide.
I think you hit an interesting point there, Elena, because I think the future is going to be about transparency, about transferring control from centralized governments to people. And what we're seeing from Putin is the last lashing out of that central government mentality, I think. Well, hopefully the last. And I think the combination of distributed ledger, blockchain, and so on, and self-sovereign identity, and I think knowledge graphs as well, having graphs of, you know, people and places and facts and so on, bringing those together to provide transparency so that the people are in control of their information and governments don't get to centralize it, because when they do, then, as we've seen, they can sometimes centralize it on behalf of a small minority of people who have, you know, rather outdated mindsets and not the majority of people. So if we can figure out how to bring all these things together, I think start thinking about what the future is like that we can help to build.
Absolutely, Mike. I totally agree with you. And regarding the centralization, apparently there is some kind of news that Putin is trying to centralize even internet in Russia. And we will see, but it looks that potentially that Russia would have its own internet completely unconnected with the rest of the world. From this week on Friday, we will see how this news will turn out. Unfortunately, we cannot test it before because officially government is saying that it's not true. But nevertheless, last year in summer, they had some tests. I believe it was June or July, I don't remember exactly, when for 2 days we didn't had internet connections with Russia. We will see what will happen by the end of this week. Well, Norman Carter, would you like to say something? What you observing?
Yeah, I've just been listening to yourself, Lena. I wasn't actually aware. Well, obviously I know you're Russian, but I didn't realise you had so many friends that were still, staying in the UK and etc. So yeah, just like what everybody else said, it's been quite something listening to you. And thanks very much for coming on and doing that. With regards to the situation, I've kind of just refrained from commenting on it. Basically because living in a world that depending on what country you reside in, will in the most part sort of determine what side of the story you're going to hear. So I just kind of concentrate on the fact that 99% of the people in this world don't want to see war. So I've just been concentrating on that sort of viewpoint. I mean, I've spoken to people here in person who have got conflicting ideas from what you've seen in the media here, and some Russian people I spoke to when I was away traveling there. So yeah, I just kind of staying back from it. And also, I think when you're speaking about social media earlier as well, that isn't really, you're right in what you're saying. You've got people have got video phones, and you're getting, information and footages from around the world, etc. But it isn't really the bastion of truth, because it's probably one of the most powerful propaganda tools, in history. We went from leaflets coming out of airplanes to newspapers to now we've got